G'day and welcome to Vintage Time Australia, now lockdown edition. In today's video we're going to have a look at the SEIKO 8L35 movement, which is one of the movements that SEIKO insists that you send to them to repair, but as you're going to see as we pull it apart, there's really nothing special about it and no reason for that insistence except that they want to try and restrict parts and availability of service to people that have purchased these watches. And if you check out my Instagram, you'll see that I actually made a tool to get the rotor bolt undone. It's rough, but it works. And you'll see there the little pins are made from brass because we don't really want to scratch the steel that's on the rotor bolt. And SEIKO don't sell this as a tool, which is very frustrating, and that is because of their insistence on sending the watch back to Japan. So what we'll do is we'll start by removing the rotor, and this tool, it's really I've only just sort of made it to do this job, so I wouldn't say it's a production tool or anything like that really. Certainly not something that's in a saleable condition. So you'll see that I've got my finger on the top and we're just going to turn the rotor bolt there. Simplest tool in the world. I could spend the time to make it out of aluminium or brass, but there really isn't any point in doing that in my opinion, just because I never see these. And we have one removed rotor with no damage. So now that's out the way, we're just going to keep going, and you'll see what they did with this watch is they actually put a very compact pull wheel system in there, or magic lever, fingers, whatever they want to call it today. And that is all in here, and I'll just get something to point at it. There we go. So that is all in there. That's the winding system there. So it's quite compact as compared to the 7S26 or its other derivatives. And if I just take this cover off, you'll see the pull wheel. The finish on these is better than, well, much better than the 7S26, but I wouldn't say it's a very fine finish. However, the derivatives that are in the Grand SEIKOs do look a lot nicer. So you'll see there we have the, I'll just see if I can zoom that in a bit more. There we go. So you'll see there that we have the pull wheel right there, and it's kind of upside down as compared to their bog standard movements. There's the click wheel there, or that just screws into the barrel, and you'll see the click just down there. Now what we'll do is we'll just take that off, and you'll see the pull lever or magic fingers, whatever you want to call it. So there's the top of the barrel there. Now the problem with this watch is actually that the pinion here detached from the pull wheel. So we'll just take the pull wheel out. That's it there. So I've already repaired that, so I've knocked the pinion back in there, and hopefully that should hold. I found these are extremely dirty because they treat the pull wheel with a molybdenum grease, and that just gets everywhere. So we'll come back to that. So there you can see the barrel arbor there, and it is a bushed barrel arbor at the top, which is, assuming the design's right and the brass is of the right grade, that's not really an issue. and you can see that's the balance right there. And what we might do is just take that out now so that I reduce the risk of damaging it. So just having a look at these high-end balances, that little tab pole there, the purpose of that is to actually rotate the pin that the hairspring goes inside. So the hairspring has a pin on either side, and you can adjust the, I guess the attitude, I don't know the correct term, the attitude of the hairspring by twisting that, and that changes the amount of gap you have between each pin. So ideally, if properly adjusted, the hairspring goes pretty much in the middle, but you can use that to do fine tuning. Generally, you wouldn't want to touch it at all. We'll just take that off. Now I do have some new product announcements coming for January next year, so I have more arbor-jewels coming because I'm currently pretty well out of stock. I'll just show the bottom of that. So there's nothing too surprising in there, no exotic materials, nothing like that, which is why I think there's just no need to send these to Japan. So anyway, as I was saying, so new product releases for January, and I have more of the arbor-jewels coming through, and I'm also doing arbor-jewels for the 7002, 7006, 9, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and also the 7S26A and B, top and bottom arbor-jewels for those, because I found they wear quite heavily. And they should be coming through, all going well, I'm hoping mid-December. But we'll see how we go. And also the standard arbor-jewels for the that I've been doing for years for their 61s and 63s. Also the new set of jewels will also work on the 52 series movement. So it's the 5216, 5245, 5246, 5256, because I found that they're prone to quite heavy wear as well on the, well, because their barrel's upside down, it's actually the upper, but on the movement it's the lower. So they tend to get pretty heavily roached out, so they will work for that. And they'll also work for the 45 series movements, so that's the 45, 4500, 4502, and the 4520, and any other derivatives. I have seen a few of those worn as well before. So I've just released the top train plate there. And we're going to pop that off, and then you'll see the gear train. So you see under there, it's fairly typical construction. So the pole lever is just held in with a circlip, and your winding wheels right there. Otherwise, it's pretty typical of SEIKO's modern movements, construction-wise. And on the inside, very typical, nothing special. Again, there's just no reason to send this to Japan, so I'm not sure what their insistence is on that. Very typical. You've got a fourth wheel, third wheel, and you've got your escape wheel there. Construction wise, it looks similar to the 52 series, but there is some, obviously there's some significant differences. It's, I guess, inspired, but they've started with pretty much a clean sheet design. So we have to be really careful with these guys here, because they're the sort of things that you lose Alright, so then we've just got, there's another bridge over the barrel there, and also a center bridge. So we're just going to remove probably the barrel first. Or the barrel bridge. And rather than try and lever this up, actually it has some indents in it. So I'm just trying not to damage anything. It's always disappointing when you scratch something. Alright, so that's pretty boring. Pretty typical. And that's the barrel there, so we'll just remove the barrel if we can. And the barrel's pretty typical. Now we come back to the plate again. We'll just remove that center bridge. It's just a bit fiddly, so I'm just going to lever it up with the screwdriver. Got to be very careful when taking these off, because if you lever it too much, you'll just snap the pivot off, which we don't really want to happen. So that's it there. Really nothing special there at all. And then we come back here. So the escape wheel there. So the cannon pinion there is kind of like a Swiss style version, which is more compact than the older style SEIKOs. You'll see there the tension on the cannon pinion is through that triangle there. And that should just come out. So yeah, completely unremarkable. And the last bit we have on there is just the pallet cock and the pallet fork. And they are not special at all. I hope the lighting's working a bit better. I think I mentioned it on the last video, I got some lighting umbrellas, and it's considerably easier to work here than how I had it set up before. And they just chuck out a whole bunch of light, so that is the real struggle with shooting these kind of videos, is the light conditions. Because without the right light conditions, you can't really see anything. Alright, so that's the train side strip. We're just going to go over to the calendar side now. And that is not going to sit in my holder very well. I'll just see if it sits in this one better. No, we've got a fail there. So I'm just going to have to wing it on this one. So these are date only, so they don't have very much here at all. And you can see there they've used those stupid micro Phillips heads everywhere, which is a really dumb idea in my opinion. However, we have the correct tool for it here, which I haven't actually prepared for this, so let me just dig that tool up. I have it in the drawer here, I think. Not one I use very often because they've actually removed all the micro Phillips heads on the current generation of the 7S26, which I think is a fantastic choice because they are literally stupid. But I guess it makes it harder to get into it, right? So here's my micro Phillips head. And I had to order this specially from SEIKO service. That's it there. It's not even that good a screwdriver, it's just the cheapest possible screwdriver ever from China. And you pay about 30 bucks for it. So it's just a really crap return on investment there. But that's what they chose to do, so you have to work with it. But the 7S26 used to have, I think one of these, one or two, I can't remember. I generally don't service 7S26s these days. I just replace them, just because it's a better result for the customer, and also it's cheaper to go that way. I can service them if people really want, but generally it's not worth it. Plus the latest version of the 7S26 has a arbor on the lower barrel arbor, which really eliminates the need for jeweling them. However, the A and B versions don't have that, so they wear like a SOB. So just having a look at the calendar there, there's really nothing special whatsoever going on in there. So I'll just start removing that. Good thing about filming these things as well, and this is some advice if you're going to have a shot at it yourself, is if you take photos as you go along, it's much easier to forget, or much harder to forget where the parts came from. So if you're having a shot yourself, I'd recommend as you move through the rebuild of the watch, or pulling it apart at least, take photos as you go along. So you can do that with just about anything these days, especially with these mobile phones with fantastic cameras. They don't even have to be amazing pictures. It's more so just a reference for you, so you know where things came from, what orientation they were in, and how they go back in. I do it every time I deal with something that I don't deal with a lot, just because by the time you get to another one again, you've sort of forgotten what you did last time. Okay, so we've just got a few bits left now on the keyless works, and it's a little bit tricky for me to see what's going on. So you've got this very complex rocker wheel here, which just attempt to remove. Again, I'm doing this for the first time in quite a while, so I don't remember what's under there. But that's one complex wheel. Check that out. Hang on. yeah, it's had a lot of work put into it, but that looks really cool. Now, we'll see what else we've got here. I've just really got to get my head in here just to see what's happening. So if I go slightly off camera, I apologise. Okay, so it's all sort of held down by one screw, which is right here, by the look of it. I'm just going to do it slowly because I could feel a bit of tension as I pulled that screw off, which always suggests that there's a spring or something in there. Okay, so it's simpler than we thought. Again, nothing special at all. So you can see the hacking levers right there, which is actually a pretty good implementation of a hacking lever. And it's got a pin on the end of that which just touches the rim of the balance, which is what stops it. So that there looks like it's sprung. I wouldn't recommend pulling one of these apart as a first watch. Just don't do it. And there's our combination hacking lever and everything else. And then I'm just going to remove, I actually remove these with the stem. So you've got your winding pinions there. And what have we got left? We just have the stem release lever, which I don't know if we really need to take this off. That's how you get it out. You flick it out. Probably don't do that. But yeah, that's it. So that's this movement apart. So you can see what's inside of these. I don't think anyone's had a shot at it before, so you can at least see how they're constructed and see if they're worth the multi-thousands of dollars that they're charging for watches with these movements in them now. They're a nicely executed movement, very reminiscent of the 52 series movements. And I guess you could say this is the successor to that. Certainly price-wise it seems that way. Anyway, I'll wrap this up here, and thanks for watching, and tune in again soon. Thanks.